last week in Arizona, and we did a full workshop on customer lifecycle management and how to deal with them from the time they're a prospect to the first sales pitch to the first quarterly business review, and then what customer success looks like to retain that customer over time. And as coincidence would have it, we have a platform for that, and we spend a lot of time in the platform talking through how that looks and what that looks like. But one of the questions that somebody hit me with appears to be kind of the same kind of conversation you guys were having on this call when I wasn't here last week, which was, what does your standard operating procedure really look like for getting this done? And as soon as somebody said it to me, I said, I don't have a great SOP because we flew by the seat of our pants a little too much sometimes. That's what happens when you let a sales guy run the organization. But I knew Kevin had a pretty dialed in one, and I thought that it would be nice to have him come on here and talk through it. So I've put together a doc that we'll talk through today, and that's kind of going to be our conversation point. We may or may not make it the whole hour. We may only have 45 minutes worth of stuff to talk about today. But for housekeeping items, if you are new to the platform, we don't forget that we run New to Lifecycle Insights every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. You should have an invite to that. If you don't have an invite to that, drop something in the chat, and Amy will make sure that you get it. A couple places we're going to be headed. Exchange in Dallas, February 28th through the 1st. Marnie and Nick are actually there right now. I'm sorry, no, in Dallas. That's at the end of the month. Sorry, they are at. Told you I had COVID brain. They are at ConnectWise Evolve, not Exchange. Oh, yeah. And so we will be at Exchange in Dallas. I'll be at Write a Boom next week. The Write a Boom Summit, if you guys haven't checked it out, writeaboom.com. Pretty good for the cybersecurity nerds. This will be a bunch of really smart guys talking. I'm pretty sure I'll see Jason there. Hopefully there'll be some. I say hopefully. I am positive with the brain power that's going to be there. There will be a lot of stuff there that's worth hearing. I'm going to that one just as an attendee to get smarter and continue to have good stuff to talk to you guys about. So. I won't be there as a vendor, but I'll be there as an attendee. Are you guys, now that shows are opening back up, I'm hearing about stuff all over the place. Is anybody going to anything interesting you think we should know about? No?
Yeah, we got 3 people going to Write a Boom, so we'll see you there.
You're going to be there?
Yep.
Nice. All right. I'll get out the credit card. We'll go drink some beers. Marnie won't even be there to stop me. I've been left unsupervised. It's going to be good.
Make sure Slago gets something other than that water-flavored beer.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Is your budget big enough to buy us beer?
It might be. It might be. And I'll ask forgiveness. I won't ask permission. So let's talk a little bit today about standard operating procedures. And I've started a document that I want you guys to grab. So steal this, repurpose it, take it and make it your own. That's my big thing. This is not by any means gospel, and we're going to kind of talk through it today. And I honestly think that based on what I have, which I think is an old version of Kevin's stuff, his stuff has probably changed since we've added some new features and functions in the tool. So download this, convert it to Word if you're, since you are probably all Word folks, and customize it and make it something that you can utilize, or dump it into your IT glue and do something useful with it there. But this really should be the doc that we work our way through and build our way through, and we'll start some of that today. I'm referencing a doc that Kevin had originally made available to us, and that doc, just so that we have it, I'll let you guys see it, is here's the other doc that I'm going to kind of reference against today. Kevin, I should have sent you this one over as a precursor too. But so I'm going to share 2 screens. It's probably going to be a little difficult for some of you. If it gets too bad, let me know, and we'll. Or I'm going to share 2 windows on a screen. And if it gets too bad, just let me know, and we'll condense it down to 1. Is that too wide screen for anybody to be able to see what's going on there?
Looks good on my.
So I've got Kevin's original document over here, and this is just simply a printout from the platform. If you go in Lifecycle Insights, if you drill into any of your templates, when you're in the actual template, you can print the template, and that'll give you both the yes and no answers. It'll give you an option for a write-in answer underneath, so that any of your risk assessments could print out this way. You could carry them into the building and check boxes and do the things, and come out with your answers if you're walking in and feel like you want that. I'm going to say crutch, but I don't see it as a bad word. that document to keep you on the straight and narrow and make sure you ask all the questions that you needed the answers to. And on the right, we're kind of converting this over from a yes, no, I've done the thing, to an action step and a responsible party. Because at the end of the day, in retail, we used to say you're not promotable until you're replaceable. As an MSP owner or as an MSP manager, you can't go do other fun things until you can delegate the things that are already in your lap. And so procedure comes into play. So we wanted to kind of put out there a good little gospel for procedure. I think we're going to have a bunch of different names that we fill in as far as responsible parties for this. And we may even change up some of the action steps as we talk through it as a group. So I would like you guys to think about this, challenge this, tell us where you think we're wrong. But with that, Kevin, do you want to step in and kind of tell the story of how much you've done this, or kind of how you've done this in your MSP and what your success has been with it?
Yeah, I mean, so kind of like everybody else, I was doing it all myself, getting everything prepped and ready, spending more time doing paperwork stuff than the important stuff being in front of people. Like I see my strength in the business being out in front of people and presenting. So started out a couple sets of interns before, right? And basically turn this information over to them, and I would bring back and say, this is what I need to have, and kind of let them go to town on it and write process and procedure. As being interns, like Tanner's on the call here, so I'll have him chime in too from time to time. I think he's probably the second or third set of interns coming in, handling the process and procedure on this. Nice. Again, my goal is really to be presented the information. I'll review it like a day or two before, and then the next day I crack everything open for the meeting, maybe 5 or 10 minutes before the meeting, run the meeting, and then I do my deliverable items and I close the ticket and I'm done. So literally I can do 3 or 4 SBRs a day. In our case, it's an SBR, and not really feel much pain, right? So we do manage all of our documentation out of IT Glue currently. We kind of built that structure in there. We're not using it in the platform currently, but we've got one master, what I like to call a skeleton document. It's like a bunch of ribs sticking out the sides of the main core of the doc. And then these guys go through and they work the process down the list of what everything they need to do. Anytime there's a change that needs to happen, I'll note that in the SBR and say, hey, Tanner, we need to have this look different this way. They go through, make all the procedures, make the changes to the documents. And the value I see in that is I know from our intern side, whether we've got a good intern or not, because one, they're following instruction step by step. So I know when it gets to me if they're following that instruction or not. They have their writing policy and procedures for this. So I can see what they're writing looks like, if it's easier for the next person to come in and follow, right? But it has to be turnkey in my world. And we don't want to spend a lot of time training interns to do stuff either. We want to give them enough lateral movement to make mistakes, but so we can see how good they really are, at these specific things.
Well, and one of the really important things with interns, and one of the things we've struggled with the younger generation at my MSP, was attention to detail, right? And if they can follow instructions like this and give you the right result every time, and they're catching the things that you would catch and seeing the things that you would see, you've got somebody who's got attention to detail. And to me, that says I've got somebody who should be around longer than an intern, and maybe we can do something with. So I love it as an intern function. For those of you that don't have interns, think about this also as a lower level support tech function, but intern definitely fits in there as well. There are a bunch of folks who could be involved in some way, shape, or form on any given part of this. And Kevin, I don't know if in your document you guys have gone through and assigned the who to each of these, but that was something I kind of wanted to talk through today, because in my mind, depending on how your organization's built, each of those is a little different. Some organizations use dispatch to create tickets and do some scheduling. Some folks are using interns for that. So as we go down through this, Kevin, I was going to kind of fill it in with your responsible party, but then let everybody else kind of talk through, hey, what if, and ask questions. Don's asking where you got your interns. I got mine from a local VOTEC school and a local community college, but
Yep. So Tanner, where are you from?
I'm originally from the town that I work in, Sioux Falls, but I do go to our local state college for cyber operations, and largely that's where we get, I want to say about half our interns, Kevin, give or take.
Probably half or more.
Yeah.
Yep, and then
Coming
the
out of
others
that
come
cyber.
from either local or state VOTEC schools.
And if you get a relationship with somebody at that school, right, most of those schools have someone whose job it is to place interns. So that's a phone call you should make to your local schools. You know, they are actively looking to find these people a place to go. It is the bane of someone's existence. And if you can help them do that, you're someone who, if you check in with them twice a year, you're a rock star in their minds.
Yeah, and from what I've heard from interns too, is the things that we put the interns that come out of that school into our cybersecurity program here too. So they're kind of part of that group. And by doing that, they're learning and talking about things that they're ahead of where they are in school.
Nice.
And I've had these guys say, what about this? And they're like, well, we don't do that. We don't have classes on that yet, or it's
Right.
too cutting edge. So it's really a win-win, because then we get to see on the cybersecurity side too, where they're at, where their head's at. So
Yeah. So where in this process is it you that's creating these tickets? What's generating the actual ticket to assign the resource? Do you have this as a workflow in ConnectWise? How does this all get started in your organization?
Yep, in my organization, my sales assistant actually kicks that off. So she starts the ball in motion.
So, and just to talk through it, today we have a calendar where you can actually go look and see and make sure that each one started, but by the, at the appropriate time, you can actually go into Lifecycle Insights and see the scheduler. You can kind of see what everybody's cadence is. We do have some MSP partners who have been successful going into ConnectWise and creating a workflow that says, based on this customer's cadence, I want to just auto-generate a ticket a quarter, or a ticket a month, or a ticket every 2 months, or every 2 quarters, or however often, every 6 months. Words are obviously going to be hard for me today. I can feel that already. But don't hesitate to use a workflow or something like that for this. As long as you're comfortable building those workflows and some of that automation. Know too that we're getting to the point where we'll start to be able to generate some of that workflow for you in the next couple of months. So if you feel like tackling that workflow is a lot of work, there will be some stuff coming from us where once we have ticket generation back into ConnectWise and Autotask and Synchro and some of those really nailed down, one of our future steps will be looking at auto creating tickets and helping you build that cadence and stuff, so that you don't have to build it. So if you have a ConnectWise guru or an Autotask guru in the house, you can go build some of those workflows today. If you don't, no problem. We'll get to it in not too terribly long.
Yep, and we've done the automated workflow in the past as well. My schedule is just so packed in right now, and I'm making a dedicated effort every 2 weeks to take Thursday and Friday off.
I like that even better. He's a slacker, Jason. He's a slacker.
I work too hard otherwise.
Right. I appreciate it. I like it. So once we get into starting to generate some of these reports and everything, patch status and creating tickets for everything based on that, right? We're talking about making sure that that the RMM tool is doing what it's supposed to do. So this is something comes out of the RMM. Who's doing this? Is this your intern?
Yep, I'll let Tanner, you can answer some of these questions because you're the one doing it. And,
Yeah, so-
again, an intern here, so.
Yep. So largely when it comes to patch DNS, our AV report, and then also a lot of the LCI stuff I deal with day to day. What we generally do with that is we'll pull a patch report on the initial 3-week advance when we're scheduled to. That way it gives me as an intern or the other interns enough time to work the problem. Let's just say we find out that we onboarded a client that has an end-of-life machine. Something like an 18363 build. We are able to get that patched up with the 3-week timeline to get that patched up to compliance. Or if something it's simple like Windows Update Assistant or service just decided to, not work on us, we have enough time to remedy the situation. Generally, if it becomes a problem,
customer, there's no issue.
Yep.
So
That is
how
the game
far
plan.
out does this initial part actually start? I guess that's actually a pretty good question. Are you starting a month out, 3 weeks out?
Usually about 3 weeks out, I would say.
I'd say
Yeah,
about
and-
3 weeks is the average. Sometimes we get one that it just works out that we have a week and a half to prepare, and then it's the interns all of a sudden we prioritize as needed and then bust that one out as fast as we can to make sure everything looks good and presentable for Kevin. That way he can rock that sales call.
Yep. Nice.
But we aim for about 3 weeks. That gives us enough time where we can work any problems that might arise. Or usually, if I'm being honest, there are very few to minimal problems. So it's just making sure that nothing's out of the ordinary. We pull reports, about a week in advance, have everyone verify everything, and then we send it outline or
What I
send it to
know-
Kevin.
What I noticed at my MSP was the more attention we spent on prepping for these things, the more we caught the problems. And when you fixed a problem once, you kind of fixed it across the board. And when you got automate patching right, when you get your RMM patching working, it's usually pretty good until you patch your RMM again, and then it'll break, and then you got to fight with it for a little while. But it comes and goes in stages, depending on the products that you're using. I wanted to ask you guys about this stuff. Are you guys Breach Secure Now partners? Are you using their stuff?
Yeah.
Are you using the lifecycle reports for that now?
Yes.
So there is a report in lifecycle for warranties. You can do all of this. All of these functions happen in Lifecycle Insights, super easy. And now that all that data is in one place too, not very hard for somebody who doesn't have to have credentials to log into the whole wide world to go get this stuff done. I meant to point out, we did note this as an XBR, but that X is simply your variable, whether it's your quarterly business review, whether it's your strategic business review or your technical business review or your cybersecurity business review, whatever you want to call it. So what do you got? You mentioned network scan in your document over here. And I was kind of walking through following it here. You mentioned a network scan report. What are you guys doing there? Is that Rapid Fire Tools or something else?
Currently, we're using Cyber CNS. We're just getting it totally dialed in, and the things we're finding from there will start making it into SBRs here, I would hope, before the end of the first quarter.
Nice. So who's doing that work there? Is that also interns?
For pulling those reports, currently, our security, our main security person's doing that, Reagan. So, and again, he's just trying to get it dialed in. And then once it's dialed in, I would see this being an intern situation again.
Awesome.
So he's bringing forward if there's any critical things, and we're taking care of those right away. And then we're using the other as future feeder projects for increasing, the security of the environment.
Very nice. So that is just related to this here. And I kind of expanded on the conversation there. I just put myself a little note, make note of new devices for discussion at a business review, right? When something new pops up on the network, there's a conversation to be had, especially if it's something we didn't know about. And you always find out at the last minute when somebody's gone and hooked up their internet connected toaster or thermostat to the corporate network. And now there's this device that has to be patched and managed and protected and walled off in a corner and all that good stuff.
Yep. And our long-term goal would be to have probably a 7 to 10 day window as soon as we notice that pop in and it hits our RMM tool, that we would be addressing it before an SBR. If the SBRs, we wouldn't wait for it. We would go take care of it right away.
I like that.
But,
I like that a lot. So you've got Cyber CNS dropped in place and kind of scanning the network on the regular. So
yes.
like their real-time detection or whatever that tool is.
Yeah. It's doing regular assessments. Yeah.
Awesome. So there is reporting from that can be brought forward, and I didn't do a lot with just check the reports, bring it forward. Are you bringing that into Report Builder, or are you presenting it some other way?
I don't think there's an integration with Report Builder right now.
You kind of have to copy and paste and drag it all in there. What format does it come out in?
I have not looked at it myself. Tanner, do you know?
I do not. Reagan's been kind of headstronging or leading that project, and I've been pretty hands off for the time being.
Yeah, I know they can export in Excel, I know, and then they've got their own report look as well. So I figured you'd be on a API hook into those guys.
One of these days we'll be talking to those guys. We got a lot of API hooks coming in the next 12 months. In fact, that's part of the reason we have a new developer. So Alex's wish list is longer than our current developers had time in the day. So key security groups, is this coming out of the same tool?
I'm not sure. The
Oh, and this was not even on your list. That might
That
not have
one-
been on your list.
that one might not be on my
I
list.
think it's one I added because we always did it at my MSP, and we pulled this out of Rapid Fire Tools. But we always quarterly did a check of admin, domain admin, enterprise admin, schema admin. The kind of the groups that leave you on fire. It's basically anybody can do this work that has access to the reporting. But this here would have been one of my support engineers in my environment that was checking for this kind of stuff. And I encourage you guys to just keep an eye on those groups. Like it's easy for a tech to drop somebody in that when they're troubleshooting, forget to take them out, and you walk off and forget about it. Tools like LionGuard can catch some of this too. When there's a change to those groups that you care about. Reviewing all the other tabs, etc., lifecycle insights, all that good stuff. I'm sure you're using your interns for that. If you don't have interns, a low level 1 support engineer, not the most expensive person in the room, can go through a lot of this and note anything that you need to talk about. I kind of copied this screenshot over, and I wanted you to talk through this one because you guys are doing some stuff here and scheduling multiple touch points. Is this all on one ticket? Are you just scheduling a bunch of resources on the same ticket to make sure that this work all gets done?
Tanner?
Yes, we generally work off one ticket.
Nice.
And then we just have a bunch of different resources and ConnectWise that are at those slated times, or if I know that I need more time to work a certain issue, or I want Lex or sales assistant to check some of my work or something like that, we just add resources to that one single ticket.
Okay. I think again, I want to talk about the language that he's got here. Interns and sales assistants, these are probably not titles that you have at a 5-person MSP or a 6-person MSP. So if you guys are still a little more in growth phase, if you're still getting to this point, understand this could be a lot of the same person. It could be a lot of tier 1 engineers, and it could even be somebody like your office manager.
I would say too, it's never too early to start with interns if you've got a source for them. And we find out that the culture of the interns changes the culture of the whole company too. Brings that little bit of youthful exuberance
to a bunch of crotchety old guys behind their keyboards.
To a bunch of. That's one of the main things I say right away is like, don't ever let these old bastards tell you that something can't be done. And you'd be surprised what interns can pull off that everybody else said was impossible. So
that's awesome. I enjoyed that a lot. We had good luck with interns. Like I employed some of them for 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, some of them stayed around a long time. And what we naturally wound up with was those interns. They'd gone to college, they'd gotten their degree, and at some point they just advanced beyond our ability to give them additional growth. And most of them left with hey man, thanks for the opportunity. And they'd go to work for the state of Delaware. They'd go to work for one of the local colleges. Like they got really good positions when they left. So it was a good job. It was a good opportunity. I bet even business interns could do a lot of this. Yes, you're right, Jason. General business interns probably could do a lot of this.
Yep.
And if you're big enough, you might look at one of those to help you with accounting and finance and some of your back office stuff. If you're not very big, they're probably not a good fit, just because you're going to have to, when you get into accounting and finance, somebody has to be over their shoulder all the time. Just because finance is what finance is. So let's talk about these reports that you're uploading. You're putting this stuff in IT Glue somewhere?
Well, again, a lot of this stuff has switched now.
Yeah.
We're pulling the majority reports now right out of Lifecycle Insights. And we went through, built that out right away when it was available. And now we're sitting here going, okay, we need Cisco Umbrella to be integrated. So guys, get that done. And what was the other one? There's one more that I think we're pulling. Huntress would be good. Would be great if you could pull Huntress in.
I didn't even add that one here. Let's see. I told you I had an outdated version of your doc.
Yeah. So we've been making some changes on things, but whatever. Yeah. for us, the more things that you can pull the reports in, the more we have that consistent look, the less we have to copy and paste in.
Yep.
The better. And I am using the heck out of that slideshow basically to go through and do these.
Is that presentation view?
Yeah, the presentation view. Yeah, that's really good.
Patch report comes out of your RMM tool, right?
Yeah.
Yep. DNS security is Cisco, AV, whatever your AV of religion is. I won't even get into that one.
Yep.
We'll give Huntress their day in the sun. We'll actually name them by name. They deserve it. And BSN, this comes right out of Lifecycle Insights as well. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Network scan, you're pulling this back out of Cyber CNS, right?
Yep.
Yep. So up here we run it. Did I do that right? Run a fresh scan. There we go. And this could be for the rest of you. For many of you, it might be Network Detective. Uh-oh, Jeff, don't put out a fire. Hopefully the fire's not in your building. Hopefully it's somewhere else. Jeff's got to go put out a fire. All right. And network scan, that stays just as easy. And then, so what are you using for a financial report? I saw this and I'm wondering, is this budget or is this something else?
Currently the financial side of that, where this is primarily out of Lifecycle Insights for their current budgeting for hardware replacements.
Okay.
So I haven't gotten to the point yet where I'm bringing in our other agreements.
Okay.
That's something I want to do soon.
Yep.
And actually bring in, like we've talked about before, clients, copiers, phone systems, things that we don't do. I want to bring all that stuff in too, so I have that intelligence for future possibilities of growth for us.
It adds a ton of work to the first time you do it. Every time after that's pretty easy. But yeah, there's a good bit of value there. So I feel like somewhere in here we have some duplication. Review assets, users, Microsoft, and then we have it down here again. Are you guys touching it twice, or is that just a little bit of duplication on me stealing stuff from your report and putting it in here twice?
I don't know, Tanner.
We do touch it twice. In fact, we touch it 3 times, hopefully, before it gets to our sales assistants meeting with Kevin. How we do it is we have the primary intern work the initial reports, fix any issues before we have it go to the sales assistant. And then Kevin, we have our secondary intern review. For instance, this would be my work if we're assuming I'm the primary intern on this SBR. He would make notes, just getting a second set of eyes. I'm going to be honest, when you're working SBRs day in, day out, it's pretty easy just to miss a small detail that we're trying to make it for Kevin.
Yeah.
Make it easier for Kevin, just to hop in, take a look over, just go, yeah, everything looks good, and able to present. He has the information about any extraneous circumstances. Yeah, again, our whole goal is just making it easier on Kevin to get in, perform the SBR, make the client happy, and then make Kevin happy. Therefore, we're happy.
No, I like that, and that's, I saw the verify report step here. I'm guessing that all falls under the second set of eyes thing.
Yep, and in this way too, especially when you're training if newer interns are coming in, you've always got them thinking about quality of the work they're doing. And it's really, I think it's effective to have them reviewing each other's work. That way they understand, so it makes them a team for quality, right? Instead of it coming down from me, they correct each other.
Yep. I like it. I like it a lot. Are you using the internal ticket report at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we've got a request in there to label the report, because we pull a few different ones. So we just want to make sure from different boards, we want the boards labeled. Yeah.
That makes sense. And maybe we need to give you the ability to pull more than one board at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pulling on multiple boards already.
Okay.
But again, they're their own page and you don't know which one's which unless you have that. This is the help desk board. This is implementation. Yeah, whatever. So
yeah, it's a pain in the ass for now as a stopgap. I don't know if you figured it out, but in Report Builder on the right-hand side, you could name each board so that when you pull up the slide, like if you click that little edit pencil in Report Builder, and I see Tanner light bulbs going off.
Yep.
You can actually click the edit pencil in there in Report Builder, and Let me see if I can pull that up real fast.
Will that show on the report itself or just
Yeah.
on the, okay, yeah, that's all we'd need. Yeah.
It'll actually show in the output, I'm pretty sure. You got me questioning myself now, but we'll see. So I should be able to come down here and just grab a template that's already got it. And then just come down here and say, if I do that, then when I go into presentation mode, oh shush. Then what I should get is help desk tickets down here. And I thought it would say something up here. I guess it doesn't, but it will show it here. So for the short term, that'll give you something. And if you do the next one, you can just name them after whatever you want them to be. So not a perfect solution, but for the short term, that'll give you an idea which one you clicked on. So then as far as delivery, who's doing the delivery there? Is it just you, Kevin?
Yeah, right now I'm doing delivery for probably 100 and some clients a year.
How many QBRs does that actually come out to there?
Depends, because some are quarterly, some are annual.
That's still a metric ton, man. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
I think we're trying to hit an average of, God, was it 12 a month? Does that sound right? 12 to 15 a month, Tanner?
That's about right. Obviously, some months like January, and I know we've talked about this in other meetings like this, are heavier than others, where we will have, a lot of smaller clients go at once. The ones that have 3 endpoints and are really,
Right.
hey, it's a once a year checkup. We'll try to push those all together because it's faster for us to prepare the reports and fast for Kevin to go in to say, hey, if anything's changing in your guys' sector, I want to make sure you guys are happy, in and out, quick and easy. We try to keep our bigger clients / the more work heavy clients in the lighter months, if at all possible, just because those do take a little bit more time to prepare for and make sure their environment looks clean and presentable.
So where in
we
this
aim about
process,
16.
that brings up a great question though. Where in this process are you guys reaching out to them to get their, hey, what's changed in your business that we need to know about? Are you guys doing that at any point?
That's happening during the SBR.
Okay.
So during that meeting, I'm having those business conversations. I mean, ideally, for the stuff we're presenting, we're actually pre-shipping everything to them.
Okay.
The goal would be 3 to 5 days before I actually show up. That way, when I do have that meeting with them, I start out with, small talk, how are things going, that type of thing.
Yep.
And then I move on to, you got a copy of the reports. Was there anything in there that you thought needed to be addressed? And then I'll say, because here's the things that I would like to point out. And if they would like to go through those, some people find it important to look through those. I give them the opportunity for us to do them one-to-one. If it's somebody who's like, yeah, no, everything looks great, you guys always do great, then we skip over and get to the meat of the business, which is, more about what assets they have, what security things we see, what money we're going to spend for you, whether it's replacing systems or what money we're going to spend for you tightening down security, and what that budget looks like.
So I'm going to go back, and at least on the default template, I'm going to go back to the top and say that when you guys first get started, it might make sense, and it probably would make sense for a lot of you guys to reach out to your customers a step earlier. I think what you're going to find is that you get fewer surprises, and until you really have this dialed down and nailed down, it's nice to go to these meetings knowing, hey, my client's looking to buy a building. My client's going to have to lay off 3 salespeople. Like, COVID's not been good for them. Business is booming, whatever. Especially if you're not meeting with them regularly enough, you're going to be out of touch with where they're at on their business. And it might be valuable to send that agenda over early and just say, hey, let me know anything you'd like me to come prepared to talk about.
And that's really the goal on our side. I would love to get them into our traction platform and have a regular level 10 meeting and let them put on the IDS items and add things for us to discuss.
Yeah.
But when I do it, I want to make it formal enough and easy enough for them that it doesn't feel kludgy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are you
So if
using
I-
traction tools?
Yes. Yep.
Jason was asking what you're using for traction. Traction tools is pretty slick.
Yeah. And if anybody has anything that, you know, directly integrates more or that works better, I'd love to hear about it. We use the crap out of the traction tools. So we probably misuse it because we kind of use it for tracking future projects and stuff as well.
Well, we instead of using something that didn't integrate to anything, we tried to build a Microsoft Planner board to manage traction, and that again probably is that, you know, you're 90% there, but not perfect by any stretch. You know, we kind of did it that way too. All right, so talk about what your walkaway looks like, because you have you had a section down here at the bottom that was, and I've stopped scrolling far enough on this one. You know, you had some follow up down here on the bottom, which was create deliverables and tickets. What does this look like?
Yep. So for that, that's changed drastically too since the ConnectWise integration came out. Basically, I know what information my sales assistant needs in order to create a ticket that a tech can digest, right? So I've got a pre-templated, these are the questions I have to answer whenever I'm creating a deliverable item for them. So I just fill out that deliverable item. Here's what needs to be done. And here's all the questions I have to answer so she can schedule it successfully.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a work in progress too, where I'll tweak that some as well. But so I come out of that SBR, I take just quick notes as I'm talking to them about what the deliverable item is. I fill the rest of it out afterwards. So it maybe take 10 minutes after the SBR to fill that out. And then I just assign the ticket to her and she takes it from there.
Okay.
So I really don't do anything else. It leaves my hands, it goes to operations, they deal with it.
And the salesman can't screw it up after that.
Yeah.
You get it out of your hands and get it going. I like that a lot.
I'm like I said, I'm more valuable talking to people and being in front of people than trying to push paper around.
And so I kind of color coded these with that in mind, right? Blue being that customer success person or that account manager or the leadership team member that's doing the actual face-to-face, and just wanted to kind of call out how little time that person really spends once this is dialed in and delegated, or how little time they could spend if we had it fully delegated. And then following up on these deliverables, and then scheduling the future ones. You've got these down here as kind of like your final wrap up items, right? And I love that you're talking about scheduling future ones before this one's over, because that's something that I was always bad at. And then you wind up chasing your customer. You know, I'd ask them what cadence they wanted to have. They'd say 6 months. I'd go, cool, I'll call you to set it up. And half the time it happened, and half the time I wound up in chase mode. So, so what do these look like for you?
Yep. I'm going to add one more thing there, kind of in my process. The very last thing that I'm doing now is I have a set of questions that I ask every time at every SBR. And part of that is cadence of the meeting, runtime objective for backups. I want to make sure that our runtime objective is still in line with what they're thinking their runtime objective is. Making sure they're getting value out of the meeting is part of it as well. Is there anything that we could improve on is another question I ask every time. And I do ask every time too, if they know any businesses that could benefit from the services that we provide.
So you're using some of I'm never going to get that blue to match. You watch, I'm not smart enough to do it today, but all right, there we go. So you're also doing some follow-up questions. No.
Yep. And that, you'd be surprised if you don't ask for leads, you'll never get them. And if you ask for them, you will get them sometimes. And majority of the time when I ask the question, is there anything that we could improve on? It actually leads to a gush fest where they talk about how good we are. And then I tend to record those, do a voice to text recording, and then I share that with our team.
Nice.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I do periodically I'll go through and I'll ask a question. If it's been a really good review, I'll ask if they've got a Google account and if they'd like to give us a 5-star rating on Google. So out of the companies in our area, most companies have 3 or 4 or 5 ratings. we've got like 50.
Nice.
And so now my next step is to go through with Crewwho that we have. And when people give us the higher ratings and give comments, I'm going to start reaching out to those individuals that aren't the business owners or managers and talk to them one-to-one and say, hey, would you mind doing that for us on Google too?
It's
So I'm going
awesome.
to continue that again, along that thought of you've got to ask. If you don't ask, you're never going to get it.
If you don't ask, you're never going to get it. And the other thing that really that rings true to me is if you're willing to ask, how did we do, or what could we do better or different? You almost have to own it at that point, right? This will force you to be better. Sometimes it's uncomfortable to ask because you don't want the answer. But when they tell you the same thing 2 or 3 times in a row and you haven't got it fixed, they're going to hold you accountable, and your customers will make you better. So being brave enough and being willing to go out and say, what could we do better or different? What could we change? What could we do that would have a positive impact on you? Really does help make you a better company to work with.
And I will praise them too, because it is hard to get somebody to talk to you face to face about issues that are happening. There's so many companies that will just hide it. And then in the background, you find out too late.
Yeah.
So by asking this up front regularly, it's like we're a team together in this, and you're here to help us get better, and we're here to help you be better. Right.
Yep.
So
No,
I so much appreciate your time and you telling me this, because this is really what I need to know to make things better.
And
So
in the experiences that we had where we'd ask those questions and we'd get back, oh, you guys are fantastic, we love working with you, etc. Another thing I used to do is push back on that a little bit and say, look, nobody's perfect. Everybody has room to improve, and I'm not looking for a compliment. I'm looking for a way to make sure we're doing a better job by you tomorrow than we did yesterday. So I appreciate that, and I'll share that with my team. But if I could do something better or different, what would it be? Because nobody is perfect, right? And you
Nice
find
touch.
that once you're willing to ask these things, your customers go, holy crap, he really cares. And they'll give you positive, even if they have a feeling that you could do something better. So sometimes you have to peel that onion a couple layers deep before you get the real answer.
Yep.
So with that in line, who's doing these other follow-ups?
So things are going to change there a little bit.
Okay.
Currently our deliverable items, our sales assistant, when she gets those back, she had been creating the tickets and scheduling. Well, now she can automatically create tickets.
Right.
But I want to get her out of the scheduling game and let it hit dispatch. Or we're talking about having a specific person doing so much time per day of just project scheduling, because it is a little bit different than dispatch, and I hate to pull dispatch away for that long.
Right.
So.
And then your future schedules go right back to your sales assistant too, right?
Yep. She's in charge of that. Schedules are all in Lifecycle Insights. She has a recurring ticket to go through before the first of each month at some point. I don't know what her timeline is, but she goes through, looks, and preps the month.
Yep. And what he's talking about is this right here. Make sure that everybody's set for a cadence. If yours looks like this, if you have this many folks without meetings, you're not doing it right. So make sure you've got your cadence set for everybody here, and then they're literally just going into each of these. And once you set an exact date and time for the meeting, pick the meeting date, and then go ahead and mark it instead of come in here often enough. Now you can change it to scheduled from auto scheduled or in preparation or whatever. And we just added that in preparation. If you missed it, it is a new icon out here. So once a meeting goes into preparation on the scheduler, it'll turn blue with the pencil on it, as opposed to auto scheduled or scheduled. So while you guys are working on it, there's a little bit of visibility there that somebody's working on it.
And that saved me some heartache. So thank you.
So having stepped through that, and feel free to take the final copy of this as well, guys. If you weren't in the room when we first started this, I'll scroll back up here and get you the link to the doc that we're working from. What questions do you have? What can we, is there anything that we need to go over or talk through, about the process? Or are you guys doing something different or unique that we missed, that we haven't thought of, that might improve the process? Feel free to jump off mute and help us out here. Kevin, you were flawless. Apparently that's what I'm understanding. You and Tanner have got it dialed in. All right.
Jason
Well,
came
that-
off mute.
I did.
Yeah.
I was trying to decide
I
if
have
I
a
was gonna.
question. I have a question in regards to some of that.
Yeah.
Do you actually go over all those reports that you, and maybe I wasn't listening at that point, but I mean, you dump a lot of reports on those people. Do they get a little overwhelmed with some of those reports?
Yep. So basically, it depends on the client, right? Most clients like to see what you're doing, but generally they don't really care to look at all the reports. So, so I send the reports. We send the pre-send the reports for them to look at if they'd like to. And then if I have any issues that I want to discuss with them based on the reports during the first part of the meeting, I'll ask them, we pre-sent the reports. Was there anything that stuck out to you, or did you have any questions on it? Or I can, I didn't see anything specific, but I can certainly go through them all with you. Majority of the time it's, things are always looking good. So I'm not really concerned with it. I said, it's not really a big concern of mine either. I just want you to know, want you to see what we're doing.
Well, Dave Coles always talks about, being the steward of your client's data, right? Making sure that we're transparent with them. It's their data, not ours. We're just the ones here to present it to them. And I think it's that same mentality.
Yep. And our goal too is to move trying to get some stuff into BrightGauge as well, for more client facing, continual, being able to peek at stuff at some point. But does that answer your question, Mark?
Yeah, I just hate to, and you're right. You got to gauge the client stuff too, but dumping so much, I know they're not going to look at, with your red right there. And I mean, we have a portal. We dump some of that stuff out in the portal. If they want to look at it and stuff, and that's not even really with these reviews and stuff, but it's a lot of information for them. I try to keep it simple as much as they want. I want to try to keep with what we call our strategy means. I want to keep focused in on, business processes versus, all the technical, behind the scenes stuff. If they want to look at reports or want to generate reports, of course we'll do that. But it just seems like a lot.
I don't think there's a right answer to that. I think that each of us has a different relationship with our customers, and they're with us because they like a different level of engagement, of interaction. They like working with a different human. I think the right answer to that is what works for you. And when you're asking your customers at the end, did you have a great experience? Is this everything you needed to see? They'll tell you if you didn't deliver value. And the first thing that you answer when they say, well, you didn't really deliver a whole lot of value to me today, but thanks for showing up. The first thing you respond to that is with what did you not see that you needed to see? Right? Where did I fall short? They'll tell you if they want to see patch stats and backup stats and all that other stuff.
And I'll preface it too with the first time that I go through, like as I bring on new clients, the first one that I do, the first review I do is longer, and I go through all the reporting. And I say the goal is not to go through these every time. The goal really is to have these available for you, and then to get more into strategy sooner in the meeting, right? So again, I know the clients I've got some clients that are larger that they want to go through individual PCs every time, and they want to have that discussion about Bill's computer and Judy's computer, and which one are we doing next and why, and their plans for growth and how that impacts each person's computer, right?
I don't like that customer at all. You can keep him.
Yeah. So, and I've learned to deal with it. It's not a big deal, and we go through it. We've done it enough. It goes very quickly. Yeah. So it's not a
and I think, Mark, another piece of advice to just think about where you place those reports in the deck as you build it. I tend to tuck that stuff in the back and go, hey, it's back there if you want to talk about it. But it's kind of I kind of stop talking somewhere in the middle of the deck and go, well, that's everything I had for you. And that's where I slide that executive summary in and say, okay, well, to summarize everything I was worried about, here we go. After this is a bunch of the reports that I felt like you should have access to. But there's not really anything in there I need to talk about. How about you? Right. So that there's some methods for, I'm going to deliver it to you, but I don't necessarily need to talk through every line with you.
Yeah, and more it's leading with security. You know, what
Right.
things are you not doing that, what things are we not doing for you that we should be, or what things are you not allowing us to do that you should be? Where is that risk? And equating those risks to dollars to downtime,
Yeah.
right? And making sure that they're making an informed decision, but then we do have our things that are not negotiable. These things you have to do to be our client. So
Yeah, I agree on some of that. I just, you know, with some of those reports and stuff, like I said, you know, we have some of that information out on the portal that it pulls in automatically, but we're just trying to streamline as much, and we're using some of the same tools that you guys are too. You know, it's in getting all those tools to pull in. You know, I'm sure it'd be a programming nightmare of some sort, but you know, it would be nice to streamline some of that stuff too. So
We're on recording, so I won't tell you whose nightmare that is. Anybody
Hey,
else?
Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a question. So we try to open every meeting a little formally. Helps get everybody in the same page to remember this is a strategic conversation. So we ask them the same 4 questions. In the next 12 months, are you planning on acquiring new location, remodeling your network, hiring or firing any large amount of people? Are you, there's 4 questions that we ask every time. I was looking into trying to pull that out of the meeting and send it ahead of time.
Mhm.
How would you do that?
I think it should go over with the meeting invite. So, you know, when you're reaching out to them to figure out how to do the scheduling, and I would include it with here's the things I want to talk about. Because by the time we get to sending the meeting invite, I probably have a pretty rough idea of, okay, this client's behind on Windows 7 replacement, or I want them to push MFA across the organization or whatever. I want to talk about some security things. I want to talk about some lifecycle management things, even if you're just telling them at a high level. There's 2 or 3 things I want to come ready to talk about. You tell me what you want me to come ready to talk about. Here's a couple starter questions that might jog your memory. That's how I always did it. And that way it gives them the ability to weigh in and give you that stuff. And it also gives them the ability to say, hey, you know, Marissa was mean to Jason on that last service ticket, and I want to bitch about that, right? And now we can pick up the phone 3 weeks early and go, hey, you know, that's not a thing anymore. Marissa's fired. You'll never speak to her again. It's all taken care of, right? But we can solve the problem before it ever happens, before we get to that meeting, and then keep that meeting on track and keep it strategic, like you were talking about. So I would lead with your questions, but I'd also lead with and anything else you deem appropriate. And if you can get them to give you that feedback early, you can go chase down those customer customer satisfaction issues early. Sorry, Marissa, we'll let you stay 1 more week. You know, you can address those things early and make sure that they're also taken care of, but don't take time away from derailing that meeting, because nothing's worse than preparing for this whole meeting and bringing in 46 reports and all this stuff that, you know, your interns and your salespeople and everybody else on the team spent all this time on, only to be derailed in a bitch session.
you know, I think I'm going to make a modification, and I've been waiting for something more formal, but I think just sending it in that email with here's the list of things,
Yeah.
questions that we want to go over. Is there anything you want to hit? I think that would be a great addition.
Yeah.
So that's my takeaway.
Awesome. Well, we brought you here to teach, but I'm glad that you got a takeaway too.
Yeah.
Jason, did you have a question? You came off mute a little bit ago and we got sidetracked.
No, I was going to ask about the ability to combine all those reports in your platform at some point would be cool.
You mean all the ones that you're bringing from other tools?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I know it's a lift.
Well, the lift is on the PDF side, right? Anything that's in Word, we can pull it in today. I'm not super opposed to it. I think it's something that there may already be a ticket out there for it. So Amy and I'll take that as our takeaway for today, and we'll go update any dig for a Jira ticket on that and see what
it would be cool if you could just have like a build a packet, right? And then you could have all the pieces of it and then just attach PDFs and just have it spit a PDF out at you.
Does PDF alone solve the problem for you guys, or do you need PDF and Excel and something else? Like,
I mean,
that's the
all of
problem.
those
Right now
other
you can
things
add
can
Word.
become PDF.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Tanner, did you get those deliverable items for the pre-meeting document?
Yes, I did.
See? Huh?
I have note here to make a change to procedure right after this meeting, actually. So
And we'll send you the recording. Don't worry. If your note taking skills were a little slow. So I do have a demo after this. So I've got to cut and run. I have a 4 o'clock, but everybody, I appreciate you hanging out with me today and putting up with my brain fog. Kevin, thanks for coming. Tanner, thanks for joining along and showing everybody what you guys are working on, because I think you guys are really ahead of the pack and doing something cool. So
I know I'll try to make it more often too. We've had discussions about that, and Tanner's been filling in for me. So
if not, just keep sending Tanner.
yeah, there you go.
There you go. All righty. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Or your
Have a
liver
great day.
farling.
Later.
Bye.
I'll see you next week.
Yeah.